Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. When I was a kid, we had this thing called book reports we had to do in summer reading. So with school, we had to go to school from September through June, July and August, with the 2 months a year that you had freedom. The 2 months of the year that I did not have to raise my hand and ask somebody for the right to take a piss, who would smirk like Mrs. Friedland did when she could just see that I had been drinking water all day. She said no in the early, and anyway, I don't even want to go back to that bitch. But the point is that you have to be a special type of fucking person to derive pleasure and actually smirk when you're denying a kid the right to go to the bathroom. Anyway, it's 2 months a year that you're free of that shit. So I didn't want to do the summer reading. I wanted to enjoy my life. So what a lot of the kids did is we would find Spark Notes or Cliff Notes, and then we would take them and then we would reword them, and then that would be the book report. We would reword the Spark Notes in our own words. We didn't read the book because we wanted to enjoy our summer. Now, there was always one kid that would write the Cliff Notes or the Spark Notes chapters exactly as they were, and very often they would fail because the teacher knew. And a lot of the times, the teacher kind of knew what the kids were doing, but as long as it wasn't even about the book report, it was about the respect. Because if you reworded the Spark Notes in your or the Cliff Notes in your own words, what it shows is that you put in the effort to keep that teacher from getting in trouble if they were audited by the department. So if the teacher's department head looks over their assignments and they see 30 different copy and pasted Spark Notes, that teacher's, and they all got an A, that teacher's getting fired. However, if each one of the book reports is worded differently, then the person who's skimming this is likely just going to say, okay, yeah, you did your job. And that was what it was about. It was about showing that basic respect that you're not going to do or say something that is going to cause me a great amount of distress later because of your own laziness. And I noticed something very similar with ChatGPT and Claude and stuff like that, particularly ChatGPT because of how ChatGPT words a lot of things nowadays. So I posted a job ad for something that would have required creative writing and dealing with people in the media, and this job paid over $100,000 a year. This job had full health benefits. I'm not even talking about like you get discount healthcare. I'm talking about your healthcare, medical, dental, paid in full, not just for you, but all of your dependents. It's not the best job in the world, but the type of thing where I feel like I can expect a modicum of skill. And what I realized is that I cannot. I also realized that I'm in the wrong fucking lane. Whoops. I forgot about this construction shit. That's where the 0 to 60 in 4 seconds comes in handy from time to time. Anyway, I forgot about construction. I don't drive on Caesar Chavez very often. And with this job, I'm looking through the proposals that I'm getting, and I hired somebody today. And I'm not kidding when she asked, like, well, what was it? My answer was, you were the only one that did not copy and paste from ChatGPT. And I've become an expert in this because I had to go back and reword all of my old articles for the wiki. So I started this Consumer Action Task Force wiki. It goes over when companies screw people over, and I don't know how to use wiki text. I barely just learned how to use Markdown a few months ago really well, and I don't know how to do wiki text, so I very often fuck things up. So what I would do is I would take my wiki text, I would add, excuse me, I just had a lot of pasta. I put it into ChatGPT and I would say, do not change my wording. Keep every word the same. Fix the wiki text area where it looks fucked up. And I thought that what it was doing was actually just fixing the wiki text. It wasn't. It was changing shit. Like make sure becomes ensure. And then the worst one that just makes it obvious that ChatGPT does it is what I call like the two-punch combo of adjectives. But the first one is this template of saying something. I'm not just ABC. I'm DEF with XYZ. You'll see that all the time. Like, I'm not just a repair technician. I'm an expert engineer, highly qualified robustly in his field that fixes MacBook boards. And they always use this stupid dash. I don't know where it comes from. It looks like a dash, but it's longer than a dash. And what I'll do sometimes is I'll ask the person, can you show me which key on your keyboard you use to type this? And like one person said Microsoft Word auto-completed it to be larger, and like fine, I'll give you something for that. But a good 90% of them said I don't know. And then there's also all the bolding shit. And the reason I've gotten really good at detecting this is because I had to go back through every one of my fucking wiki articles and start looking at them to figure out where it took my wiki text and changed it when it was fixing it. Also, ignored what I said and changed the fucking wording. When I wasn't even intending for that to be the case. And admittedly, I could have double-checked after every single one, but it's a free wiki article. Like 99% of the wording was the same. Like looking to see if it changed to make sure to ensure or vice versa, whatever. What I find interesting were the sheer number of people that directly copied and pasted. No, and that's the thing. It's not something where it's not even about me. It's about what will happen when this person speaks with members of the media. And when they do speak with members of the media, how stupid all of us are going to look when that person in that newspaper reads this, realizes the same thing that I saw, and then decides, you know what, I am never going to deal with you people, ever. Like, I know, this is ridiculous. You put no effort into this. You think I'm stupid. You think I can't tell that a robot wrote this. Fuck you, fuck your organization, and fuck your cause. Maybe they wouldn't be that mean, but the point is, for that, I would expect somebody to be able to do a little bit better than that. It's about what would happen with the department head. I took south instead of north. Interesting. Oh, okay. I thought I had to pick up my bag somewhere, but I actually don't. Okay, this is silly. Yeah. Oh, man. I do this every single time. There's like 3 or 4 times I've taken south because I thought I forgot my bag at the office, and then I put my hand over and I realized it's right here. I'm a dumbass. Anyway. And one of the things is I feel weird pointing this out. I feel like I'm pointing out that somebody has their fly down. But it's always awkward. And like on one hand, but it doesn't have that positive connotation to it of, oh, thank you, you've done that so that I can notice it, because when your fly is down, it's an accident, whereas this is something that you did on purpose. So I'm kind of pointing out, you thought I was, here's why it feels awkward. It feels like I'm pointing out, you think I'm so stupid that I couldn't tell a copy and paste from a robot. And I'm not trying to make you feel ashamed, but I also feel weird when somebody asks me, like, why? Because one of the things that I've done when I do job interviews is I try to contact everybody that's even remotely qualified, and secondly, I interview all of them, and third, I contact every one of them to tell them why they didn't get the job. If they didn't, this is the type of honesty that can really, that's not always fun, but I remember what it was like to interview for 200 or 300 jobs, apply to 200 or 300 jobs, get 2 interviews, and completely fail. Like, the only area where I've ever had worse luck than trying job interviews was, getting a date on Tinder in 2016. It's not something that people enjoy. And also, you don't get the practice of doing job interviews unless you do them regularly. You have to practice in order to get better. And if nobody ever interviews you, then how are you going to get better? Especially if they don't tell you. So I feel it's really awkward when somebody does this. I felt less awkward telling people, it's obvious that you lied on your resume here and there because these 2 things contradict, and if I call this person, I see it. Like, I don't even mind. Everybody lies in their resume, just to be clear. Like, I don't even care about that. It's just there are other people that were more qualified for this position. Even when that comes up, that's weirdly less embarrassing than pointing out to somebody that I know that you copied and pasted this shit. It's just... And it feels weird because I feel like I should feel guilty for making my decision that way. But I have no problem with people using ChatGPT and Claude and everything else. It makes stuff faster. There are all these people out there that will say, ChatGPT is not going to replace a programmer. ChatGPT is not going to replace a person. That's not the fucking point. It's a tool. Google doesn't replace people, but it sure as fuck made it faster to find stuff than going through the freaking Dewey Decimal System. Google did not replace a programmer. It didn't replace a lot of different jobs. It just made it easier to do them. I don't use ChatGPT and then have it answer all my life questions in one prompt. You feed it certain pieces of information, and then you kind of slowly expand on it, and then every time it gives you a piece of information, you have a lead. Now you find a manual that goes over that particular part, and you look to find a specific part that may apply to it that it can't make sense of, and you feed it. It's good for making it easier for you to figure things out. It doesn't figure it out for you. And I have no problem if you use it. But one of the worst areas where I think somebody can use this tool is when they're applying to a job where you're going to be dealing with the media and doing creative writing, and every single one, besides one fucking proposal, was directly copied and pasted. I'm talking down to that long dash, the random bolded shit, everything else that it was doing when I was trying to convert my wiki articles from like shittily written wiki text to properly written wiki text. So fucking weird. And so disappointing too. One person. If I had this job listed at $20,000 a year or something, I would get it. And for all I know, the one person used ChatGPT for everything and then just worded it in their own words. And if that's the case, that's okay. I ask questions on how they would go about certain things, and that's the important thing with ChatGPT. Even if somebody rewords the ChatGPT in their own words, if I ask, why would you do something like this? Or what would you do if this particular element of the plan goes X instead of Y? And I see how they react. And you can quickly tell if like I'm on the edge as to whether or not AI wrote this shit. I can usually tell based on your complete inability to answer those questions whether or not you wrote this. She had everything. I mean, she answered every single question immediately. She did her research. For all I know, ChatGPT wrote the draft. But what she did is she took the shit that was in ChatGPT. Again, I'm not even saying that she used it, but let's say she did. She probably took all those little individual elements and said, now I know what to look for. So instead of spending 15 minutes trying to figure out what to look for, I have spent 30 seconds. And now I can then spend that 10 minutes that I saved trying to figure out where this is, or where to start, actually taking in the material and engaging with it and learning. That's how you're supposed to use that tool. That's how ChatGPT and Claude and all this other stuff is supposed to work. It's supposed to save you time in those annoying, mundane tasks that bring you no value otherwise. It's not supposed to be the thing that like does everything for you. You don't copy and paste the Spark notes. You reword it in your own words. Because then when you get a quiz on the shit, instead of getting a 0, you can get maybe a 60. And if you have a nice teacher that's not Mrs. Friedland, she'll curve it up a little bit. And of course, obviously, let you go to the bathroom. I'm not a curmudgeon. I'm not a Luddite. I find these tools very useful, and I enjoy them. They're great. But they're tools. And they should be used the way that they're intended to be used. And I'm fucking stunned at the degree to which people use this stuff and have no concept that how transparent it is, that they did none of the work in writing out anything. Okay, I'm not going to sit out here and say nobody should use it, or this is stupid, or anybody who uses this is a moron, because YouTube comments tend to get really, really black and white very quickly. I don't like that. There's so many things. Making a calendar look a little neater, fine. Fixing up some broken CSS in some theme, sure. Creative writing and working with the media and writing. Creating public-facing text and images that will get people excited about an issue that they otherwise wouldn't care about. I'm trying to think of a worse area to use AI to do everything. I think the Therac, what was it called? The Generac? No, Genelac is a speaker brand. Therac 25. There was this machine in the 80s that was supposed to give you targeted radiation, something like that. And I don't know, like there was some array out of bounds error, some fuckface forgot a comma somewhere, and it was putting out hundreds to thousands of times more radiation, and it killed people because of a software bug. That's another area where you probably shouldn't trust ChatGPT, or at least use 4.0 instead of 4 mini. It's really interesting, because when I look at this, these are not people that barely passed high school. I saw at least 3 of these applicants had master's degrees. I have a high school diploma. Every now and then, I apply to jobs just for the fuck of it to see what it's like. I do this about once every 18 months to 3 years, just to remind myself that I have to stay on my game with my own company. At the moment I lose my game with what I'm doing, or with anything, it's over. So I'll apply to random stuff just to see. And it'll be interesting the amount of like auto rejects sometimes I'll get. This is one job I got an auto reject from for not having a college degree. Like, I wasn't qualified to do 60K customer service and framework. I mean, I realize I'm not qualified for shit. But the interesting thing is that on paper, so many of these individuals, like 3.9 GPA, this class, this project and everything in school, and you literally copied and pasted from a fucking robot without editing out anything. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm still stunned at this. If it was 1 or 2 people, that's it. But like over 20 people applied for this job. There's only one of them were either in the cover, or the proposal, or anything. Like, crazy. And if there was somebody that I thought showed promise, what I do is, if I ask somebody back for a second interview, I don't do that bullshit that Facebook does where there's like 5 or 10 fucking unpaid interviews. If you're getting asked back for a second time, I'm paying you, because that's your time. You don't get your time back. There's actually one person that wound up showing up for this interview, and they were... I was running 45 minutes late because I didn't realize how much the other ones were going to go. I felt so guilty. I gave this woman $100. I felt horrible. Somebody's sitting there, and I feel like I'm wasting their time. So I was talking to somebody that used to work at Apple that was talking about interviewing at Meta. 11 fucking interviews some of these people get asked back for. I'm like, oh yeah, but they must have paid you well for that. 0. Gargle my balls. Sometimes when I talk to these people, they'll think, oh wow, you're a great employer. I don't think I'm a great employer. I think I'm like a below average employer. It's just everybody else seems to be complete and utter dog shit. How the hell do you ask somebody back for 11 times? I don't even know how that's legal. Like, at what point do you consider it unpaid work? Or some below minimum wage, and you're breaking some sort of employment law or contract law? I almost kind of wonder if the places that are having people come back 11 times are just looking for free programming. Or their department doesn't have a budget for something, or they're not allowed to have somebody else do something, so you just keep inviting back some PhD computer science student over and over again to solve your problem. I should do that for my wiki when I have a namespace issue. Yeah, fuck that. Instead of paying unto and dealing with the fucking 10-euro bank fee that their middleman corrupt bank charges every time that we've been trying to track down for 3 months, instead of paying unto, yeah, I'm just going to start doing job interviews over and over again. What a great idea. Just interview the same person 15 times. I should have given unto 11 job interviews instead of hiring him. 1 every month. I would have saved that on a year of invoicing. We live in meme world. Yeah, that's about it. I just had to do my rant. I remember when I was in this class, economics class with Mr. Civiletti. It wasn't interesting economics. It wasn't like reading the Thomas Sowell book or something. It was the driest, most boring crap you could ever imagine, that had the lowest amount of relevance to anything. This person would like to turn, and I think he's used to nobody letting him in. I always hope that for each person that I let make their lane change without speeding up or something, like dickheads in New York will, it brings me one step closer to going to heaven someday, or one step away from hell. Maybe it'll just lower the temperature down there when I eventually die and go to some place very warm. Make it very warm instead of very hot. I had this binder in front of me, and I had a Cohen, C-O-W-O-N, A2 portable media player. That's what it was. And I would take a book from another class. I had a binder, a 3-ring binder, and in the center ring, right in front of the center ring, I would put that book. And I would have that book there, and then it would be leaning towards that ring. And then on the other side of the ring, I would put my Cohen A2 portable media player, which was completely blocked from view by the book. I would then have my headphone, which I think was a Shure E3C that I got used on eBay, and it would be going all the way up my shirt to my ear, going around my ear, my left ear, because the teacher was on the right, and forward on the right, and then I would put my hand over my ear, my elbow down in the book, and I would use my pen and pretend I was writing as he was talking, when in reality I was watching season 5 of 24 on my portable media player. Rest in peace, Gregory Itzin, by the way. Gregory, he was so good at playing a douchebag. I mean, the ending of season 5, where he was, and a wonderful friend, oh, and the camera turns to him as that crazy music plays. Yeah, he was so good at playing a douchebag. I'm gonna miss that guy. I would have loved to see his work in others, more of his work, but my teacher probably knew that was what I was doing. He probably saw me at one point, but he never called me on it because of the sheer amount of work that I was doing to show respect for the class. I wasn't listening to him, but I put in so much effort to pretend that I was listening to him out of respect for the teacher. That's what matters. When the department head walks by, is he going to look at the teacher and get him in trouble for letting kids break the rules? Or is the department head going to walk by and think that all the kids in this class are listening, or at the very least that I was? Because that's what it's about. It's about the respect, I think. I believe that there is a certain lack of respect in copying and pasting the ChatGPT for a job that particularly requires a certain level of creativity, like engaging with the audience and doing it in a manner that's really exciting. It's Friday night, so I should probably be driving in the right lane, not the left here, because there's no public transportation here, which means that half of these people are likely drunk. Drunk people, combined with an imaginary little line in the middle of the road that we outsourced to the honor system, is not it. We're gonna laugh at this someday. The fact that we had these 4,000-pound tanks that go 70 miles an hour, they're right next to each other going in opposite directions, and the one thing that separates them is a little imaginary line in the center of the road with no barrier. It's crazy. I hope you all had a good Friday night, and I hope that you didn't drink and drive. No good. No good. Or if you did drink, then you live someplace with some decent public transportation.